We have a new open source repository, which you can find on Lombik/hosting tenants on GitHub. This provides two new modules. The first one is tenants admin module. It can be useful if we can log in to any tenants we host from the default, and we can make some configuration and we can help the user. So this module implements this login functionality. The module delivers two features: the tenant admin feature and tenant admin sub tenants. The first feature, which only available on the default tenant, is bring a button up on any tenant's edit page if the tenant is up and running. And if we click this login as admin user button, then magically we can log in to the target tenant as an administrator user. The second feature is the subtenant feature. This must be enabled on those tenants which we want to allow to this login procedure. Yeah, and this is the functionality. This use an already exist admin user. So if on the target tenant has no administrator, then we can not log in to the page. So that is the tenant admin module. And the second module in hosting tenants repository is tenants management. With this module, we can restrict the request URL host when we create a new tenant. For example, in this demo, we configure this list, and with this hosting, we can't create a new tenant. So let's see. Demo. For example, orchard demo.nest.net. And yeah, with this hostname, we can't create a tenant. Or if we create a correct hostname, with a correct hostname, and then we want to edit it to forbidden one. Then we can save this modification. So this was the two modules in the hosting tenants repository. Thank you.
Thank you. I have some questions. And I and I invite anyone else to also ask questions and provide comments. So the first module, my question is for the subtenant feature. Can you select which account the main tenant will be logging with?
No, we will log in with the first admin user. So we can.
What does it mean? What does it mean to be an admin user?
The first admin.
There is no such thing as an admin user in Orchard. So
yeah,
maybe
you
are
are
authenticating there is a super user.
Not with the super user,
okay.
with the user with administrator role.
There is no such thing as an administrator in Orchard. It's just a string somewhere that someone could decide to not use at all, or rename or whatever. So I think, and I could also remove all the roles from administrator or not have a single user on administrator. So I think it will not be harder to have a setting in the feature so you could give the user account that is used to authenticate from the default tenant.
So,
and this way you could even have a custom one that you are sure that for audit trace reasons that this is the one that is used from the default tenant. It's like the host, like the manager of the multi-tenant system. And you know that this is them that we did that and not someone else because it's the first in the list for some reasons. It's like a super guest account. And then you don't connect as admin, you connect as the super guest because it has the module for that. My suggestion. You don't have to do that, but if I did that in the Orchard way, that's how I would do that.
Yeah, by the way, selecting the first user in the in the role called administrator is the first guess. If it doesn't work, it tries the super user from the sign settings.
Okay. Using the super user is a better approach, in my opinion, than the first of the administrator role because it's super specific and it's not at all deterministic, so you don't know what's happening. Like, imagine there is an actual administrator that has an account, their own account, and then in the audit trail, you see that they changed something. How can you prove then that the audit trail is actually the audit trail? It's just no, it's actually you are sharing the account with someone else, so there is no more audit trail. But then if you create a custom account for that, even if it has the administrator role or whatever role you want to call it, like super manager administrator, you don't care, or even no roles and just permissions that are completely specific. At least you know that this account is used for remote authentication from the tenant manager, and I think that would be better. And then if you want to reuse an existing user that has some business reasons, then fine, you can still do that. But there is no more, it's very deterministic. You know which account will be used to connect to the system. And if you want to use the super user, then you put the same name as the super user. I think that would be better. And not much harder to implement, right? It's just select the value from the text box instead of doing a list and picking up the first one. Just that was my comment.
Okay, it's a good suggestion, so thank you.
Yes, Otan, do you want to add something?
Nothing else.
Okay. Then about the other module, which one was the other module? Refresh my mind. There was the tenants and there was the what was the other module about? Tenants management.
Hostname, forbidden
hostname. Yes, hostname. Okay, interesting. I have some suggestions and questions. First question is, what's your business scenario? I could just imagine that you don't want people to use your domain, but what is the business scenario there? Why do you want to have a DSLO list of domain names?
Let me answer that. So this is for a SaaS scenario where we just want to disallow certain names. It's not for moderation reasons, but rather to exclude some very basic ways that people can show something different than they really are. So for technical reasons, we disallow some subdomains that are used otherwise. And also something like admin.nest.net.
Okay. Why not have a disallow and an allow list? Or like, so this is how Dean is about to implement, by the way, the feature to define, what was the thing we demoed and we commented about using profiles? Whole profiles, whole features. Yeah. Features, feature profile. Yeah, same thing. So the design we agreed on was to have a list of allow or disallow patterns in order. This way you can say disallow star, like allow nothing, and then allow star.nest.com, and then disallow admin.nest.com, and so on in an order. And then this way you can either decide to exclude a range or a specific one, or allow a specific range, and so on. That was the way we found that was the most flexible and also simple way to have both ways of allowing and disallowing ranges stuff. It can be a specific one, or it can be using star mapping. That's just a thought. If instead of having a list of predefined like this, having a list of actions like allow, disallow, and a value. But it's more flexibility. Something else I want you to do, and I would love to have in Orchard, is so right now, when you have a tenant, there are a set of domains assigned. There is a configuration parameter in ASP.NET that is the allowed domains or allowed hosts in the app settings.config. And this one by default in the Orchard template is star, the same way it's default also in ASP.NET. It's star because we don't want to limit anything. That would be great to have it set up for it. And that's nothing to do with your module, but it could be part of it, or it could be part of Orchard core directly. That would be great to configure that for each tenant, for the system, based on all the tenants that are available on the system, such that we can't serve another domain than the ones that are actually provided by a tenant. Otherwise, that could be a security issue. So you usually do that when you deploy your site, but in a SaaS solution, all these domains are dynamic. So you can't have a static list in the configuration. So that's why it's better to have that defined dynamically. So it's the allowed hosts configuration. In the Kestrel configuration, it would be ideal to have it computed from the list of domains from all the tenants in the startup middleware or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, Sebastian. That would be probably for a different use case. I mean, referring to your more generic approach. We needed to exclude specific, pretty much specific strings.
Cool. Nice. Thank you. You have very real constraints, and you need actual solutions to your constraints. So that's very nice to see what issues you face when you actually build stuff and people use it. Okay, all good. Thank you. Thanks a lot for the demo.